Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the latest episode of the New Fashion Conservatives podcast. I'm your host, Justin Phillips, and with me, as always, the Marley to my Scrooge, the Max to my Grinch, the Wallace to my Davis, the Harry to my Marv, the Shadow Governor Boss.
Robin Voss's strongest soldier.
And we've got a jam-packed show for you tonight, a lot of stocking stuffers to drop some knowledge before this Christmas season. So, Shadow Gov, are you in the Christmas spirit yet?
You know, we got lots of snow early, and it's been cold.
Checkbox.
But it's not been like, well, it was pretty cold before, but we got our snow, so we're gonna have a white Christmas. It feels like it at the very least. So, yeah, I'm definitely in the mood. I don't know if I've done my normal Christmas traditions yet, but I usually wait. I mean, usually Christmas Eve we have some pretty good Christmas traditions. So yeah, looking forward to that. I've
seen Hans Gruber fall off the top of the Nakatomi Plaza. I've seen Clark Griswold.
I've not seen that one yet.
Yo, you gotta watch that one.
Well, this year I should say.
Yes. I've watched a couple versions of the Christmas Carol, but yet to watch Scrooged or the Muppet Christmas Carol, which is hands down my favorite.
Which Scrooge do you like?
Michael Caine. Absolutely the best.
Do you like the animated version at all with Jim Carrey?
You know, I don't think I've seen that one.
You really haven't? It's actually pretty good. I actually enjoy it. Also, I just think Jim Carrey is a phenomenal actor, and he plays, although it's all animated, I think he plays a good Scrooge. I think it's underrated. I don't think people talk about it very much, but
you know, I always loved Muppet Christmas Carol, and it feels like only in the past couple of Christmas seasons has that one really gotten the meme respect it has. That, you know, Michael Caine is playing this one serious as a Shakespearean actor, with a bunch of Muppets. It's just it's perfect.
And Christmas Story,
yes, that's a good one too.
See, I only watch that on Christmas Eve. That is like that is my movie. I have to watch on Christmas Eve. I don't watch it before. I don't want to ruin it. Something about fa ra 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 ra. It just
fragile.
It's just, it is my favorite Christmas. You know, I was not really a Christmas Vacation person until later. So I understand the cult following, but trust me, Shitter's fault. Yeah, love that. It's great.
Honey, have you checked our shitters?
The only thing about Christmas Vacation is just I always think it's kind of out of place. He's just kind of random.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a story to it, but I just think Christmas Story.
It's all these little vignettes that are tied together by one family.
Basically. That's a great way of putting it. Whereas the Christmas Story is just pure, unadulterated, just Christmas nostalgia to me. But that's just me. I'm biased.
You know, the series of movies that I think I talked about earlier in several episodes ago that gets me in the Christmas spirit are the James Bond movies. And I made it as far as Live and Let Die. So I did watch them in order. I got through all the Connery, all the Sean Connery Bonds, the Lazenby, started the first Roger Moore Bond, which was Live and Let Die, which probably best theme song. Paul McCartney and Wings.
Really?
Singing. That one's one of my favorites. But, of course, Amazon Prime ripped them away from me.
In the middle of watching them?
Well, that after Live and Let Die. So now I am stuck.
Well, now you just have to do what I do, which is just rip them off the internet.
Oh, there you go.
Streaming them.
Yes.
Now I'll give everyone my plug. It's fmovies.com. Now, you have to be very careful when you type that out, because a lot of
get something different.
Yes, but I swear to God, I think it's it's worked. It's got every movie on there. And even if the ones with Korean subtitles, well, Chinese subtitles that they rip out of the movie theater early, but I promise you, I have had great success watching pirated, streamed movies. So I would highly recommend using that. Although, you know, I have to. What was the modern Bond with Billie Eilish singing the song?
This is one of the most recent ones.
Yeah, one of the most recent ones. I cannot remember the name of it.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. Honestly, I might not be a giant fan of Billie Eilish, but great theme song. And I haven't watched the Bonds in a while, so I need to go back. Also, when are they picking a new Bond?
I don't know, but there's a new Bond video game coming out next spring.
I know. I saw that, which I thought was interesting. But Are we gonna just are you gonna pick Henry Cavill and get it over with, or what?
I was kind of on the Idris Elba train for a little while, but then he's like a little old to be kind of stepping into the Bond role for the first time.
Yeah. I'm also of the notion that James Bond should just be a white dude.
That's true. No, I get it. I get that.
I'm sorry.
I subscribe to the theory that James Bond is a code name, and it's just it is truly a different person.
I just think that's leftist coded, and that's just cope to allow them to basically rewrite Bond how they want, when literally Bond has always been portrayed as a white guy. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's like if they would try to portray King Arthur as a black dude. Fair
enough. But you want to read some based content?
Yes.
The Ian Fleming Bond books.
I've read
very
some.
Based.
I've read some of them. It's been years, and I don't think I retained anything when I did read them when I was much younger.
I mean, Bond's also like kind of a bad dude, like little cringe moments, but very good reading.
Great Christmas movies.
As much as the listeners probably want to hear us talk about all cultural things and Christmas stuff, we have to talk about some of the dumb stuff that Tony Evers is doing. Yeah. I know you've got a lot to talk about when it comes to
this is kind of a
immigration. Yeah, just kind of a catch-all episode to get you ready for the holidays and kind of wrap up this year. So first, I do want to talk about the governor who has decided to join in one of 20 some states that aren't going to provide the Trump administration information about our FoodShare program. So Tom Tiffany has asked Governor Evers to release the FoodShare data that President Trump wants. So this is coming from Just the News and Center Square. So Tom says, like many Wisconsin residents, I was disappointed by your recent public statement. He's talking about Tony, ruling out cooperation with the federal government to detect fraud in the food stamp program. We should be able to agree that fraud and abuse as vital safety net programs is unacceptable, which is why I hope you will reconsider your position. Trump administration has asked for a wide swath of information about the food stamp programs in states, including immigration stats for the 700,000 people on food stamps in Wisconsin. So
that's a lot of people.
It is, but I think
700,000.
Probably, I don't think they're all 100% on FoodShare. I think some of them just get some assistance. I don't think it's I think there's a sliding scale to it, but
it's
still,
not it's not like 700,000 people are getting the maximum amount.
Exactly. But still, it's still 700,000. You want to make sure they're all the people who are allowed to access it.
I mean, think about it for you. At what point are you going on FoodShare? You personally, there are a lot of things I would probably do before I went on FoodShare. Things have to be very, very rough, and that's not. I'm not saying people shouldn't be allowed to. I think our social safety nets should be there but they shouldn't be exploited, of course. But I think it should be there for the people that actually need help. And I'm just trying to think of the dire straits that I would have to be in for that to be warranted. And I hope that, Governor Evers thinks that all 700,000, are basically absolutely needed or absolutely or 100% not gaming the system or not exploiting it some way.
And are all live first too. Don't forget that, you have dead beneficiaries on there.
Or you have people that are living together and one of them's getting food stamps, but the other one sells her food stamps type of thing.
Yep. All those sorts of things, waste, fraud, and abuse, rooting that out. Feel like it should be bipartisan. If you want people to be on food stamps, don't you want everyone to access them who should be legally allowed to?
Yeah. This shouldn't be, but of course
this is just Trump administration bad.
Yeah. Well, this is, of course, if they're you have to imagine though, if their base were to find out that, first of all, Evers isn't running again, so it's not that big of a deal, but even he wouldn't do this, and no Democrat governor would do this for risk of being, you're just a lapdog for Trump, or he's going to find the whole justification for not sending this information to the federal government was that, he's going to find excuses to get out of the federal obligation of providing SNAP benefits, which, whatever, that's a fine justification. I don't think Trump's trying to cut SNAP completely, although WIC is probably a better program, and SNAP, I think, is just fully, I am, the biggest and most obvious big corporations just buying politicians is based off of the food industry, the food and beverage industry buying politicians, so that because everything you can buy SNAP with.
Yeah.
You know, everything. Your soda, you can get your whole Thanksgiving dinner. Well, Thanksgiving was, I should say, Christmas dinner.
Christmas hams.
You can get your entire Christmas dinner with SNAP, including the wine and probably the alcohol too. I wouldn't even know though, because I've never been on it.
Right.
Not that I haven't taken assistance before, but that's not like, it wasn't something that it was a stopgap thing. You know, COVID happened, of course. I think everybody needed some help during then.
Yeah.
But it's been, if there aren't any issues, shouldn't Tony be fully okay with?
Right.
There's, you know, it's like you're sending your homework into the teacher.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
Check my work.
The Trump administration is going to start fining states for not submitting the information. So now the Evers is pressing the legislature for $70 million to process FoodShare applications to stave off federal penalties that could cost the state as much as $225 million. So this is from Badger Institute. You know, the Republican leadership is going to say no to that, obviously, because Evers would want to expand the Department of Health Services by as many as 60 employees to vet an estimated 43,000 food program recipients who are subject to new work requirements that went into effect in July.
Yikes, 60 people.
So right now, Wisconsin's error rate is about 4.47%, which is one of the lowest in the country and well below the penalty threshold of, I believe it's 6%. But, you know, right now, I think the governor is scared that we're going to get up to that 60% because of these new work requirements. And, you know, the auditing that the federal government wants to do. So
isn't it crazy to think that this wasn't part of the program to be like you're thinking about these requirements and these, you know, audits and these checks and thresholds and penalties, that this wasn't part of the program to begin with.
Yeah.
Like to be fair, when this program was first found, you know, created, probably people are like, oh, you know, we live in a high trust society, therefore we'll trust people to do their best. You know, there was a time when public benefits were kind of like shamed.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a faux pas to, or not a faux pas, but
is it A Wonderful Life where he takes the money back? I mean, speaking of Christmas.
Yeah.
He was, you know, he felt obligated that, you know, I took a public benefit. I want to give the public benefit back. But there was some shame in taking that. Yeah. You know, that I don't have the ability to provide on my own. Therefore, I have to ask the government for help.
I remember in I think it was the mid 90s when Lee Iacocca like saved Ford. He got this huge bailout from the federal government. He turned the company around, basically tried to give Bill Clinton a check for the exact amount of money that the feds gave him to save the company. And Clinton was like, I don't know what to do with it. What do you want me to do with this money? Like, again, talking about ways that, you know, you used to want to pay that money back. And now we've come so far that, again, in the state of Wisconsin, you're talking about a smaller group of people, but you look at our neighbors to the Northwest, you have billions of dollars in fraud from the Somali community being funneled to not just Somali residents in Minnesota, but to criminal organizations and terrorist organizations. Like it's frightening what's going on there. And
I'm so glad that it's not happening in Wisconsin, because if it were happening in Wisconsin, I might have the biggest crash out ever. And for political purposes, it would have been great, but it is devastating to see that Tim Walz's own government. Did you see? There's a Twitter page of like concerned government employees,
DHS employees. Yeah.
Are you serious? The fact that a large group of government employees have to anonymously post on the internet how bad things are in Minnesota. Granted, the Democrats haven't had like unified control that long in Minnesota because, like Wisconsin, they're centralized around Minneapolis and such. But I have to imagine those state agencies are all located in the Twin Cities, which is dominated by the left. So it's so bad that even there's enough sensible people there that are like,
this is bad. Yeah.
This is so bad. So we don't want that. And I'm not even saying that we have that level of corruption or error rate or misuse of funds. But if Evers is so confident that that it's okay. Mm-hmm. Well, let us just double check the numbers. Yeah.
And so to give folks a bit more of a understanding of this, DHS already employs 6,800 people. The legislature is being asked in the next budget session to find an estimated $42 million to cover a 25% increase in the state share of the administrative costs of food share. So that was one of the things that came out of the big, beautiful bill is now states have to take ownership of its food share program. Currently, all food share benefits are federally funded, but starting in October of 2026, Wisconsin taxpayers will expect to fund an increase the share of the administrative costs to run the program 50 to 75%, or $121 million compared to the $79 million in 2024, and the feds will cover the rest. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, if there are errors, so if you're over the 6% limit for errors, you could cost the state $80 million a year. Wow. Over 10% in errors or fraud could cost $225 million according to calculations based off current DHS benefit costs.
Can't even imagine what Minnesota's would be like with their error rate.
Yeah, it's got to be enormous. So just, again, if the governor is so confident that we aren't at that fraud or that
and I shouldn't bury the lead here. Mm-hmm. Evers, yes, he's concerned. He's like, oh yeah, our system's fine, but he might have some legitimate concerns regarding immigration enforcement, because part of that information on the people collecting SNAP is their immigration.
It is, yep.
So that if you're a Democrat, that's a legitimate concern that Trump would use that information to then say, oh, there's illegals on benefits. Mm-hmm. Let's go after them, which I'm all saying, yeah, go for it. Which also says that the Democrats are protecting them. So again, here's a program paid for by Americans, for Americans. And Evers is concerned that there might be some illegals mixed in the data that might be picked up by Immigration Customs Enforcement. So that should say everything you need to know, that Evers loves himself some illegals.
Don't forget, it also includes the fact that you now have to work 80 hours a month. And I don't think it's actually work 80 hours a month. I think you have to be doing something for 80 hours a month. So
it is a very low threshold.
Yeah.
Anyone listening to this right now is probably working 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right? So, minimum.
And this is 80 a month. And I think you can be like going to school, volunteering, or working. Like, I don't think it's just like.
Basically, are you benefiting society and you're just not on your couch?
For 80 hours a month. That is a very low amount. That's 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
It's part-time.
Part-time. And again, we're not even saying you're working for that entire time. You're doing other stuff. Being a general benefit to society and not a slug just collecting benefits and then selling ooh, boy.
Yep.
The TikToks, the sheer amount of gloating of people gloating about benefits, how do people that get these benefits realize that when they flaunt this stuff, their goodwill that they have accumulated from hardworking taxpaying Americans, they're losing those people that are actually paying in the benefits. The people that collect these benefits don't pay anything hardly in taxes, or almost nothing. They are a net drain on the taxpayer, and that's okay in some cases if you actually need it. But the people that pay, aka the middle class, maybe you shouldn't gloat to those people. Just saying.
Yep. So I do also want to talk about something Governor Evers posted on X, and it was really just 26 words, but it was something that was really set me off. So recently he said that healthcare, with a little emoji with an uptick in a chart, utility bills, uptick, chart emoji, groceries, uptick, emoji, chart. Republicans were never serious about helping lower costs for seniors and working families. That much is pretty clear. Now, kind of an innocuous thing, just kind of some message testing, but to me, I think it shows how out of touch from reality the governor is. And I'm saying that because the messaging out of DC Democrats lately, and I think I saw it with a lot of Senate candidates. I think it's filtered down to state level candidates that they're just message testing. Seems to be that they believe the electorate is too dumb to read a chart. Every chart put out by Democrats show that over the last 5 years, prices on several goods and commodities have jumped considerably. But then they try to stick the blame on Republicans, and so they'll show the Trump era currently, where there's a little ping pong in some numbers, but they will ignore the fact that between 2020 and the end of 2024, there was this giant sweeping increase in prices. Now, I wonder who was in charge of the federal government when there was that giant uptick in prices. And, remember when the Democrats tried to run on the price of eggs? Mm-hmm. They always pick like this one commodity that they seem to stick to the entire economy. It doesn't make any sense, because if you remember that, the Biden administration killed scores of chickens to stop bird flu, which aside, I'm pretty sure Anthony Fauci is kicking himself that he didn't try that strategy with COVID.
That's dark.
When Democrats actually argue that costs are down, they tie it again to this absurd commodity like the cost of oat milk, or they make these wildly out of touch claims where, you remember this one from a couple of years ago where it's like 4th of July cookout costs 9 cents less than it did last year. Look at how
the worst.
Yeah. How out of touch was that? So
yeah. Oh no, my ballpark hot dog is
4 cents cheaper, right?
Yeah, yikes.
So Tony's trying to do this in Wisconsin with this post on X. He's trying to blame, Republicans for these rising costs. But let's remember his Public Service Commission, which is made up mostly of these longtime Madison swamp creatures, jacked up our energy rates. Healthcare costs are skyrocketing because the left 15 years ago created Obamacare to fail, to destroy our healthcare. So then they could sweep in and say, well, the real solution is completely government-run healthcare. And it's also clear to me that, Trump policies are lowering the costs of things like gas, like an actual commodity people use every day. Like price of eggs go up. Okay, maybe you don't buy eggs that week. I get it. Like that sucks. You don't want to do it, but you see the price of gas now below $3 across the country. Wisconsin, I think it's $2.70-ish. Mm-hmm. Greg John over at WISN, Gregory John, follow him on X if you don't. He's like covering this all the time. I do want to hat tip him because this is kind of where I pulled this up from. But Wisconsin's down 47 cents from its high this year. Mortgage rates are down a full percent. So overall, I think you're trying to pin the lack of affordability on the Trump administration, whereas the reality is Tony is just to blame, is more so for the rising costs. And look, I don't hear what I'm not saying. Like I'm still disappointed or frustrated that beef prices are as high as they are, and I hope the Trump administration's going to be fixing that overall.
$6.50 a pound.
I know.
What is going on?
The one I always measure to is pork, though, because every time I go to Costco, I know if I'm going to buy the pork shoulder and the ribs and the pork belly, because I could see that you can literally between like stops at Costco, at least for me, that every 3-4 weeks, like you can see the price go up and down. And pork belly is only $20 for this giant thing. I'll grab it this week, and sometimes it's higher, so I don't. But
beef prices have stayed pretty high,
and they're going high. Yeah, and that's frustration. I'll admit that fully. But you have Tony Evers, who has already raised taxes for the next 400 years, and people are seeing those property tax bills right now. You're seeing your energy prices go up because of his PSC. So don't try to con voters into thinking they're too dumb to read charts and realize that, the Democrats are large in Wisconsin. Tony Evers is the reason why so many of the things you have to rely on, energy costs, all going up. And the Trump administration is doing things that are trying to drive costs down. So
trying to reopen coal plants, stuff like that, nuclear power. Well, so a couple things. A, that is all true. B, Trump has to just be careful to not message the way Joe Biden did as far as basically gaslighting people that it's good. Could I say the economy is better than it was under Biden? Yes, nominally, but
you're talking about 4 years of a Biden administration versus 11 months.
Yeah. But I mean, the election's in less than a year, and that's how he will be judged, and people will start to see stuff. I think the sentiment that the cake will be baked by summer. That's kind of my opinion. I mean, for goodness sake, Joe Biden had it was $5 a gallon for gas in Wisconsin in 2022. I mean,
eggs were like $7 a dozen.
It was insanity. And we're not there right now. But I think people are just tired. And it's been years of this. And so people are starting to kind of be at their wits' end. And, Trump promised stuff. And I know he's working on it. I know, I'm not trying to be the Debbie Downer here. But voters demand action. And, we're have a short memory and sometimes a very, very strong memory at the same time. And I know it's not 2022, but the Democrats still kind of managed to come out unscathed, considering everything. I mean, if I were more political back in 2022, and I was, but it seems like I get more radical, become more radicalized by the left every other day. But I remember, and I had a different vehicle than I have currently, and I just remember dumping tons of gas. The gas bills were insane for $5 and or more, and I was really having to. I have never had to crunch my budget more than I had to in that year when gas prices were just off the charts, and yes, gas is under control, kind of. And I would love to be back to the point when it was 189 during the first Trump admin, but that seems like a pipe dream at this point. But at the end of the day, how people actually feel about the economy will drive the election, not what the politicians say. It's how the voters are never wrong. It's up to the politicians to sell the people on the message. Whether they buy it is another question. So I think, the next 6 months are just going to have to be go for the Trump admin to convince people that this economy is better and that, and actually improve it as well.
Yeah. And, I think something you talk about between 2022 and now is, the one thing that matters more than anything is candidate quality. We talked on our last episode about the candidate quality for the Democrats and Republicans. And I think that wasn't there in 2022. We talked about that again in our last episode, find out why we didn't think the candidate quality in 2022 matched up and why, Tim Michels shouldn't be running again and why we have two great candidates in Josh Yeoman and Tom Tiffany running right now on the Republican side. And that's more than we can say about the Democrats.
No, I agree. And so candidate quality is a huge part of it for the governor's race. But Congress, if Congress, they did a lot of good stuff with the big, beautiful bill.
We need another. I think the Republican side needs another big win.
Right, going into the election to be able to sell this. Because if the economy isn't great, it's going to be people like DVO are going to be in trouble. And that's just being a realist, especially with redistricting.
That's another layer to.
Yep, that's a whole other layer to consider. You don't know what the maps are going to look like. Who knows if they're going to get thrown out? Probably. How they're going to get redrawn? Probably horrible. So we have to prepare for the worst. And until then, we're going to have to. We and the president and the White House are going to have to work very hard to right the ship a little bit quicker.
One thing I think actually they did recently, and we don't touch on federal issues very often. We had that great interview with Scott Fitzgerald when he talked about the shutdown and what that was like. And something that I saw from Just the News was from Glenn Grothman. So he was on the program there talking about the National Defense Reauthorization Act. Passed just recently, a couple weeks ago, Wednesday in the House, contained a little noticed weapon to cut federal spending and the bureaucracy. So Glenn Grothman was talking with Just the News about this, says that the passage now cuts up to 19% of the civilian jobs inside the War Department. And I like saying War Department.
I know, it's based.
It's saving an estimated $30 billion. So
it really isn't that much.
It's not when it comes to the defense defense budget, but still that sounds ridiculous to say $30 billion isn't a whole lot. But you're talking about people who, run on reducing the size and scope of the federal government. You just did that. When Senator Grothman was one of the 312 that voted to pass the defense reauthorization and sent that to the Senate, and the president's desk will cut 19% of the civilian employees inside the War Department, saving money. So something you run on, cutting the size and scope of the federal government. I know it's a little bit of a nip and tuck, but still crazy more than others can say.
Crazy to think that a quarter of one department, sorry, not even a quarter, less than a fifth of one department of the federal government makes up basically a quarter of the entire state government.
Yeah.
Just to put it in perspective.
That's true. $30 billion would go.
Imagine if Wisconsin cut the state government by a quarter.
So the annual, it's $100 billion biennial budget.
Roughly. I think it's more. I think it's more like $110 billion.
So cut that by 20%. So you're cutting $22 billion.
Yeah. Imagine that cut. That'd be huge.
Yeah.
But fiscal conservative in me goes absolutely crazy.
But here at the War Department, that's a bit of a fraction, I know.
Drop in the bucket.
Something else. Another thing I just want to touch on quickly, I saw this. Northwoods Policy Network kind of did a soft launch a couple months ago with Twitter getting on X, kind of teasing Twitter, some stuff out there.
Twitter, the Bird app.
The Bird app, as Shadow Gov likes to call it. But they officially launched and unveiled their vision for a stronger northern Wisconsin. So the organization itself has this minute and 28-second video that we can play to shout them out. So the organization is founded by Paul Schleckman, Ben Dryden, and Adam Jarko, three names you may recognize from state politics. Formed out of a shared belief that northern Wisconsin deserves a seat at the table in statewide discussions about growth, investment, and the future of Wisconsin's economy. NPN is about putting Northwoods first again. So really interested to see what they're going to put out. I think the Northwoods is a gem, especially for, tourism, forestry, and our outdoors recreation. So we'd love to see what they're going to bring to the table.
Yeah, no, I love this. First of all, I mean, kudos to those people, to those guys for putting this together, especially for an area of the state that it doesn't get talked about a whole lot. Everyone kind of talks about Southeast Wisconsin. Everyone's down here, but of course the Fox Valley gets a lot of attention because, Green Bay, the Fox Valley got all the cities right next to each other. Still close to Lake Michigan for the most part. And you got Madison, kind of central Wisconsin, although they're different, but, they get a lot of attention. And western Wisconsin gets attention, because cows and, it's rolling hills. The north sometimes gets forgotten. It's just, all the hillbillies are up there. But there's a lot of great stuff up there. And I love this. I know they just started, but there is a lot. They have an issues page where they talk about conservation, and sporting, energy, education, industry, local economies, reindustrialization. I love that. Reindustrialization. They have a whole where they talk about support for data centers and AI being a growth as a key to Wisconsin's future, which I thought was interesting. I know when people stake a position on one side or the other of the data center, which I do think that is the correct decision. I think the environmental concerns about water are legitimate, but slightly overblown. So I'm very excited to see where they go with this.
Standing up for farmers too. Willing to criticize the governor for his actions against farmers recently. So I know Ben Dryden, Adam Jarko, great guys. Paul Schleckman as well. Don't forget, they're going to put some good stuff together, and we're going to have them on as we get more established and they get more established, and
I know they just started, so I'm sure that there's lots more to do, and I'm looking forward to what they present.
Yeah, so we can't get out of this episode though without talking about a little bit of candidate news. And the first one I want to talk about just quickly is David Varnum, friend of the show, friend of ours, who recently won the endorsement of Derrick Van Orden. So I think that's actually a pretty big deal, and I think one of the biggest endorsements we've seen in the lieutenant governor's race so far. I know they're kind of buddies and being on the western side of Wisconsin, but Derrick Van Orden says he's going to support David Varnum. So like that, and if you want to hear more from David Varnum, check out that episode that we had with him fairly recently. Great guy to talk to.
Yeah, and obviously, DVO being the biggest person in the 3rd district. I mean, maybe David Varnum can just lock up the 3rd, and I'm sure he'll campaign elsewhere. But
he's been around everywhere. I don't know if it's my algorithm that's showing it, but David Varnum is doing a lot of campaigning. He's, we talked about on the interview we had with him, but it's still to this day he's crisscrossing the state. He's going to county party, Christmas parties, he's everywhere.
No, I agree. He's done a lot of good work, and so that was a huge endorsement, obviously. And he's the only congressman that's endorsed for lieutenant governor that I'm aware of. So, which is not that it's surprising, but because he's Lancaster in the 3rd and such. But usually the congressmen don't weigh in on lieutenant governor.
So good for him. So I do want to talk about something else that Derrick Van Orden put out recently. So a fellow by the name of Aaron Wojciechowski has declared himself for Congress in the Wisconsin 6th District. So he's challenging Glenn Grothman. He is a 24-year-old who was first elected, a 28-year-old who was elected to Oshkosh City Council at 24, elected to Winnebago County Board at 19. So already from an early age, the past 9 years, has been a career politician. Do want to talk about his statements quickly. So he says, at 24, I was elected to Oshkosh City Council, winning the most votes in a crowded primary. During my term, I served as the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee and the Sustainability Advisory Board.
Yuck.
I also served during the height of the COVID-19, which prepared me for being a level-headed leader during these unprecedented times. It's just gross, self-serving BS coming from a 28-year-old. So now he's running for Congress. And that's not really the story, actually. Story is that Derrick Van Orden quote tweeted this saying, "So you have never built anything, signed the front side of a paycheck, or served in the military. You are exactly who we don't need in DC." And he is correct. But do we read between the lines on this? I know in a previous episode, we talked about the race to replace Tom Tiffany in the 7th Congressional District. Kind of filling up right now, but there was a candidate, Michael Alfonso, son-in-law of Sean Duffy, also a young fella. Though he's on the conservative side, he kind of, and he's not a career politician. But do we read into Derrick Van Orden's tweet any more than him criticizing Aaron Wojciechowski for being a career politician before 30? Or is it just a coincidence that there's some overlap between these two individuals on the slightly?
So I did not read into it.
Okay.
I did.
Am I just overthinking things?
You may be, but that might be something to consider. I hadn't considered it, but I don't think it's a bad point to make. That being said, I do think that I have very strong opinions on young people in politics on both sides. And I'm on both, I have strongest opinions on both sides. A, I don't think young people should be in politics, and then B, I think young people should be in politics very heavily. Part of me is okay, at 19 you were elected to the Winnebago County Board. Dude, just be a kid and a young adult.
Mm-hmm. Have
experiences, get your feet wet. I am not going to tell a young person that they can't run for Congress or run for Michael Alfonso. I'm not endorsing or not endorsing. I know that makes me seem like a fence sitter, but maybe it's on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Or maybe when I decide when it's okay, because I'm the arbiter of truth. When I say it's okay, it's okay. Because when you're a young adult, there are so many experiences I think you need to have kind of as a rite of passage. Mm-hmm. I think that you should, as a young person, have some kind of service. Sure. Whether that's service to your community, to your church, to your country. Mm-hmm. I just think that something where you have to be humbled and maybe do some unsavory work is appropriate. And maybe that's just manual labor or just general hard work. I think that there are a lot of young people that could be beneficial from just having a little extra hard work. And so I feel very strongly about that. Mm-hmm. So when people say, "Oh, I got elected at 19," I'm like, dude,
that draws an eyebrow.
It's oh God, oh, you're going to be a career politician. Mm-hmm. But the other side of me is very strongly saying, and this is not a condemnation against people that are over the age of 50, not at all, or that have been in politics for a long time either. But there is something about fresh new voices that I think a proper shakeup is in order. Mm-hmm. And so people like the Michael Alfonsos of the world, I encourage them to run.
Yeah.
I encourage them to go through a rigorous primary process. And maybe that's me being a little bit of an accelerationist. Let's get to the next generation. The boomers have held on for so long that even Gen Xers really haven't even had a chance to rule.
True. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Boomers are finally starting to pass the torch.
No, they're not passing the torch. They're passing away.
Well, yeah, they're not passing the torch willingly by death. So
yeah,
I'm ready for fresh blood.
Sure.
And that's not to say that I have much respect for many people, boomers included, that are ruling over us and such. But I feel very strongly that the young people bring a new perspective. So yeah, maybe don't run for office at 19.
There's something that seems a little unseemly about that. Like, it's like you've thought about this for so long, and you know,
like your voice just dropped like 2 years ago.
Dude. Right. So some of the best advice I ever got was in my early days. It was actually from Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner, and he's always told me that, like, you'll know when you're ready to run, but it's not when you want to. It's, you know, like, you don't set it up where you don't go to college to then go to law school, to be a lobbyist for a couple of years, to run for the state assembly before you're 30, to run for state senate before, you know, you're 35, to run for Congress before you're 40, and to be president by the time you're 45. He's like, it doesn't work out that way. No. You're going to hit a roadblock at some point. You're going to hit a change of life direction at some point to realize that that's probably not the path you want to choose. And of course, you're not prepared at 22, 23, 24 necessarily to run for those offices. The difference, of course, I think in this case is Aaron Wojciechowski here in the 6th district doesn't share the viewpoint of a majority of the voters of the 6th district, whereas Michael Alfonso does in the 7th. So I think it's just a Democrat-Republican thing. And of course, I want to emphasize this. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that Michael Alfonso shouldn't run or that he's too young. If he can go out, work hard, earn the trust of the voters, and earn, you know, the votes, and he wins, good for him. That would be fantastic. Again, a young guy sharing, you know, being out there, again, could be good. You know, should be a good thing. I just saw the comparison with this DVO tweet, and maybe I read a little too far into it. I just think he's someone who chooses his words carefully, and maybe there's a tie-in, maybe there's not.
Sometimes DVO does not choose his words wisely. He can be even cavalier, which is why we love him sometimes.
It is true. It is true.
That is not a slight against DVO. He has my complete and utter endorsement.
The final step on this one, besides the fact that, you know, this kid highlighted that he was a weirdly political kid at 19. I mean, I'm someone who eats, sleeps, and breathes politics since I was in college. Even at 19, I was like, I don't know what this is. Like, I was not into it then. One of his pictures, again, besides, of course, saying about the unprecedented times of COVID-19, being on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee and Sustainability Advisory Board, which is just a bunch of leftist BS.
That's a bunch of commie gobbledygook.
You know, yeah. He posts 3 pictures. You want to guess the third one? Him wearing a mask while being at his city council seat.
Sorry, but the biggest violation is that absolute hair dye job where with the black and the blonde hair. That's a worse violation.
He looks like Milo.
When Milo was still gay.
Yeah.
Although he still probably is. But yeah, that hair just with the blonde, with the clear, maybe that was intentional. I don't know. Whatever. Best of luck to him.
Enjoy losing to Glenn Grossman, who sits on a throne of the skull. It's made of skulls of his opponents.
Or he just sits on a throne of brats from the brat
cut taxes
from the brat fry circuit that he goes on. Which, if I'm a congressman, hell yeah, I'm gonna go the brat fire.
You're not gonna outwork Glenn. Period.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that district is. I mean,
it's him. He represents. He is that district.
He is that district.
Mm-hmm. So, Shadow Gov, I know you have a couple topics near and dear to your heart that I want to make sure you're in the right headspace to get through.
I am.
So, Dairyland Sentinel posted something recently. I'm going to let you take over from here. We can let you know that we're all thoughts and prayers are with you as you read these next comments, and then we're going to talk about it. But I'm going to turn this over to you. This is a safe space.
Okay, so this was from the Dairyland Sentinel and right to our inbox, and I thought it was very good. And so I'm just going to read. It's not very long. It's like a couple paragraphs. I mean, it'll be like a 2 or 3 minute read here.
Brian Fraley's publication. Do subscribe to that if you haven't. Again, great thing to put in our inbox, but Shadow Gov, take it away.
The worst kept secret in Madison is that Assembly Speaker Robin Vos may not run again in 2026. Those rumors surface every 2 years around this time, and while his departure would be a hugely significant, it would hardly be unexpected. If he steps away, he does so on his terms after one of the longest and most influential runs in Wisconsin politics. Voss entered the assembly in 2005 after winning his race in 2004. He came in with a mix of local and political experience that most new legislators simply do not have. He had already spent a decade on the Racine County Board. Before that, he had worked as a legislative aide and as a district director for a member of Congress. He knew how the machinery of Madison moved before he ever sat in the chamber. He also came in as a business owner. Rojo's Popcorn Company has been his calling card for years. He brought the production facility decades ago and grew it exponentially. He has held rental properties and owned other ventures as well. That background shaped his style. He has always talked and voted like someone who signs payroll on Friday morning and reads legislative briefs on Sunday nights. Once he reached leadership, he stayed there. He became Speaker in 2013, never lost the gavel. No one in Wisconsin history has held the post longer, and it's a record that is unlikely to be surpassed. His time in charge spans recall attempts, redistricting fights, threats of actual physical harm, inter-party pushes to move him out, rumors, innuendos, conspiracy theories, and wins. A lot of wins. Through it all, he kept the Assembly Republicans together enough to pass major items that will outlast any single term or tenure, including a string of tax cuts that define the budget fights of the Evers era. Yes, the governor takes the credit for the tax cuts and the budget surpluses, but the 4 budgets he proposed looked quite different than the ones Republicans sent him to sign. Through it all, Voss was a constant. Wisconsin awaits his decision. It will be impactful, whatever it is, whenever it comes, just like most things Voss does. So, very nice. Very nicely written. And I think in less words than I could have done, because I would have just gone on rants and ramblings. Well, I guess this is a rumor that he may not run. And I think this has been a rumor that has been...
it's been around for quite a few years.
Yeah, this is probably the third or fourth term where this has been thrown around that he might not run.
Yeah.
So is it going to be true this time?
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, this seems to be... I mean, could this be just par for the course? I think if he does retire... he's earned it.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what actually this reminds me of is our conversation that we ended our last episode with about Giannis, that, you know, every season there's this rumor that kind of picks up that he's going to get traded. And then eventually someone's going to be right. You're going to say he's going to be traded. Now it's like, well, you know, since 2020, 2021, people have been like, well, Robin Voss is going to retire. Well, eventually you start saying it enough years, eventually you're correct that at some point he is going to retire, whether it's this term, next term, the following term. You know, yeah, he's definitely earned it. You know, he's definitely done something, you know, as the speaker for as long as he has, that I don't think can be
I don't know who
repeated.
Can match that.
No.
The amount of the influence that he's had, the sheer just length of his tenure, and did it at a young age.
Right. The ability,
I think he's still
sub 60.
Yeah, he's still in I think he's in mid 50s, mid to late 50s. So, I mean, he could still do this if he wanted to, but at this point, you know, you've served your time. You've done what you needed.
It can be tiring. I get it. It's every 2 years. You got a new cycle and you got to hold on, but he's, you know, done things behind the scenes, and and it takes a certain type of person to have the mental fortitude to do it year in and year out. And, you know, this kind of undersells what he did. Of course, being speaker for 13 years now. Before that, he was on joint finance as well. Like, you know, it's not
like a slouch position.
Exactly. You know, he's never been that type of slouch. So he's been in Madison for a long time. He's, you know, been on, you know, the important committees, and that takes a lot of work, and it can be a mental drain. And I think if he would have retired even years ago, people would have been like, I don't blame him. So for him to hang on as long as he has, it's incredible. And
the fact that he probably knows more about state government than almost anybody, at least certainly people that are in the representative bodies. I mean, there's probably some bureaucrats that have been around longer, and they're bureaucrats and they only probably know their area. You know, when you're the speaker, you kind of have to know everything. You have to know a little bit of everything. And I just think that information is invaluable. Now, when he does inevitably retire, whether that's this session, next session, 10 years from now, you have to imagine he's not gone forever. It's not like he's going to take a vacation, leave Wisconsin, and just, drift on some cruise. Although he could do that, and no one could fault him for it.
Not at all.
But I feel like someone like that can't leave politics forever.
Yeah.
And maybe there's just a smaller capacity, a different capacity.
He's the technically fourth longest serving member of the state assembly right now. Now he's the second longest continuous serving member because Rob Krybeck and Dean Coffert both were first elected in the early 90s, dropped off for a little bit, did some other things, came back. So Christine Sinicki, the Democrat from Milwaukee, is the only one who's been in the assembly for a continuous amount of time longer than Robin.
Interesting.
Yeah, him and Jeff Merceau are the only two members of the 2004 class remaining.
Wow.
And if you consider the fact that most assembly, I think if the average still holds, when I did this calculation a little bit ago, like the average amount of time a legislator spends in the assembly is like 7 or 8 years.
Which is, that's a fair amount.
Yeah. So you think how many people have cycled through some of those other seats that you've
seen
with?
So many people come in and leave before you've even left.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I don't think there's much else to say other than,
good for him.
Part of me hopes that he continues to stick it out. I would love to see him with a Republican administration in the governor's office.
Yes.
But again, if he decides, you know what, I don't have another race in me, I'm sure the crazies will still try to primary him of some sorts. I totally understand it. You've earned it. But I guess as the Dairyland Sentinel says, Wisconsin awaits his decision. It'll be impactful, whatever it is, whenever it comes.
And you know what's interesting, or what we can then speculate a lot about is who could replace him, because that's going to be a very tough position to fill. And I know,
also
having
the
friends,
district too. Like, how do you get the crazies to essentially get on your bandwagon without being the Voss selected, or the Voss candidate per se?
And I have conservative friends who were, soured on Voss at some point because of something that people posted on Facebook.
Or whatever.
Silliness and I always ask them, like, okay, you want to replace Robin? Who? And there's no one there. For the longest time, there was really no one who could fill the shoes the way he did. I think some people have grown into larger roles, and I think they're going to do a fantastic job to, try and step into it. But are they going to hang around as long as Robin? Probably not. And, I think that speaks to how successful he's been for as long as he's been.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it's still early. I mean,
this rumor could be accurate. Like, he could right now, if you ask him, I don't want to do it again, he could say that.
But I think
you ask him after, he gets a long break over the Christmas holiday, comes back reinvigorated, and he's like, yeah, let's do it again. Let's run it back. Let's get Tom Tiffany or Josh Showman elected. And then let's run it back with a conservative budget that'll, undo all the stuff that Tony's tried to do over the last 8 years, or, fulfill all those promises that they tried to get through while Tony was governor. So
we'll see.
So another thing, Shadow Gov, I think, something that's near and dear to you that you've been burning on for a while and want to just, pull the string in your back and let you rip. You have some thoughts on immigration you want to share? No.
I've never had a thought on immigration ever.
No.
So this is an article that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but haven't found the right time to bring it up, mainly because it seems like we always have a full agenda of things to talk about, or we cut things. We only have so much time. We don't have a 4-hour show. We have lives. We got things we got to do. So we don't have to, although that would be great.
Hey, we've got a lot of great stuff cooking, and
we have so many great things.
If you want to sponsor the show,
we are open for sponsorships. We have actual plans. So
love to take this to 2-3 days a week, make it a more full-time thing. But of course, can't always do that.
Yeah.
At this point,
well, we're slowly but surely, and we won't get too ahead of ourselves. But that being said, there are tons of stories we would love to talk about. We just don't have time to. But I finally have gotten to one that I've been sitting on for at least 9 days, which doesn't seem that long when I think about it now, or longer, I should say. I've been sitting on this for longer, I should say, but it's been like 2 or 3 weeks. Anyway, the Journal-Sentinel did some blatant act of journalism once again, where they sent a reporter, Sophie Carson, excuse me, to El Salvador. Okay. Now, why is the Journal-Sentinel, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, it's not the El Salvador Journal-Sentinel, why are they sending someone to El Salvador, you might ask? Now, to keen listeners of the New Fashion Conservative podcast, they might deduce that there's something immigration related there, and they would be correct. This is the title. I traveled to El Salvador to understand a family's deportation. It was full of contradictions. Okay. You know, I keep on saying this, and I'm not going to say it again because I've been proven wrong every time. Every time there's a story about Yesenia Ruano, I say, this is it. Mm-hmm. We're done. We're not talking about her anymore. They write another story about her, and she keeps on coming up. So I'm just going to say, this is not the last story. There will be another. Although this is like the creme de la creme, the top article that has been written. And for those of you who don't know, or those who need a refresher, Yesenia Ruano is an illegal immigrant, illegal alien, an illegal foreign national who broke into this country, not once, but twice, was deported the first time, broke into the country, and has been living in Wisconsin in the Milwaukee area for a while now. And she was a teacher aide for the MPS school. I think it was the Spanish immersion school. So a bilingual school where, obviously she probably speaks fluent Spanish. So it worked out for her. That being said, this became a huge media story where she received a deportation order, and she eventually self-deported. Now, it was a whole fight, but finally she had self-deported with her 2 American children, and her husband then came after the fact. So the Journal-Sentinel thought it would be great to bring her along into the fold and go to El Salvador to read or to do a story on her. This is not a short story. I mean, this is a very long article, and it actually takes a decent amount of time to read. But I mean, kudos to the Journal-Sentinel for actually doing that. That being said, the Journal-Sentinel made it very clear that they are on the side of the illegal immigrants. Okay. When this entire soliloquy, this entire monologue, and I will call it a monologue because it seems like there's a clear narrative being established here where they're trying to humanize Yesenia Ruano and her family by focusing on their emotional struggles post-deportation, such as the twins' disappointment over missing Halloween or trick-or-treating in Milwaukee, portraying them as these victims of a system that oppresses them instead of being the criminal that she is. Now, she didn't commit any other laws, but she did break our laws. The old stories used to say that she just broke into the country once. Mm-hmm. This story actually says she broke in twice, which is a felony. So that whole argument is out the door as far as her being just, a one-time criminal or whatever, or breaking just a misdemeanor. Anyway, so this entire story just paints a very interesting story of her being the victim, okay? Highlighting that her U.S.-born twin daughters, they're adjusting to life in El Salvador. They want to try to maintain their English fluency because they want to go back. Mm-hmm. She wants to go back. She wants to try to get back so much. And they even harp on, there are programs in El Salvador for, I forget the Spanish word for it, but essentially people that have been deported and are trying to reintegrate into El Salvador life. Sure. Like a jobs program for deported people. Mm-hmm. There's so many people that they have government programs for people that have been deported. Okay. Now, the piece notes that Yesenia's, resignation after 14 years of legal fights, but omits her details about her initial asylum denial, the multiple illegal entries. The other stories kind of omit that. This one actually admits it, but she says, I don't know why I want to go back to a place that doesn't want me. And it's like, we know why she wants to go back. Mm-hmm. Okay. She had a grade. She was making probably decent money. working for, the MPS school district that just got a huge referendum bump.
Mm-hmm.
And a decade-old deportation, though, order essentially screwed that all up for her. Okay, so again, being painted as the victim. But I want to point out a few little things here before I get into my main point here. Whereas they even talk about how El Salvador has been cleaned up. Now, you might not like Nayib Bukele. He might be a benevolent dictator, but he's cleaned up El Salvador to the point where it's not the crime-ridden hellhole that it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, there should be people, El Salvadorians should maybe be living in El Salvador. So, obviously, this got drawn into a huge, massive media fight. And they talk about that in the article. Again, talking about her usage or basically being part of this lawsuit where she was supposed to be given a visa for being, human trafficked, sexually assaulted. Of course, she was only sexually assaulted or human trafficked as a result of crossing the border, not in El Salvador. So if we did that by that measure, there's tons of people that are, trafficked and assaulted, which is horrible, but we should not be granting them all visas. Now, I want to talk about this from the actual American perspective, okay? Mm-hmm. And then I will close my comments with that. Stories like this prioritize manipulation of our, they prey on our feelings. It's a sob story, is what it basically says. And we're supposed to have we can empathize with people, but over enforcing our borders and laws, not so much. She broke our immigration laws. I understand why. She wanted better for her family. I get it. But that doesn't mean we just vacate laws that have been on the books. Okay. And the article uses that emotional manipulation to try to tug at our heartstrings. And that would have worked in 2016, but not anymore. Okay. Where are the Americans in this story? Where is the plight of the actual Americans? It's nowhere. Okay. It's stories like this that drive young people and especially young men to the right, like myself, even more. I hope Yesenia has a great life and that her children have opportunities for themselves. However, the U.S. is the most generous place in the world, bar none, and to a fault. It is suicidal empathy. Okay. This has been weaponized against us. We need to let them in. Okay. We need to give them access. We owe no one anything. The left has used the same victimhood mentality to say that the current Americans have to feel bad for slavery or for any wrong decisions that our country has made in the past. And the truth is we don't. Okay. This humiliation ritual needs to end. And it's certainly getting closer to ending with immigration. I want people to succeed in their own countries. I want Americans to succeed in their own country. And this garbage is not working like it did previously, but it still has some power. But, call me insensitive, but I think it's perfectly logical to want what's best for Americans first. Meanwhile, the Main Street Democrat Party thinks illegals like Yesenia deserve everything in the world and not Americans who have the right to be here. Okay. You don't have to feel bad about it. And I just think I'm so sick and tired of these articles that constantly just badger us and want us to make feel bad or send money. It's like, no, we don't have to feel bad. Okay. That's pretty much it.
Very good.
Pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that really pisses me off though, she still owns the home in Milwaukee. She's collecting rent money.
She's the landlord.
She is the landlord, which I think we should ban illegals from owning property. Like, why is that even? You should be able to prove your
citizenship status.
Yeah, you should have to have a visa, and even I think visa holders should have to have rent.
Yeah,
before they can own a home. But the fact that an illegal in El Salvador is complaining about being poor and not being able to afford stuff when she literally owns a home in Milwaukee and is getting rent from it is just asinine to me. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And again, I don't wish bad on them at all. I don't wish.
But she broke the law twice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I understand
she lied about her reasons for coming to the country or the visa she wanted to get.
And I understand why she did it.
Right. But
what's the point of the government? Is the point of the government to be an objective third party, say you broke the law, you have to be punished, or taking all that emotional BS? No, the government's supposed to look at the law. You broke the law. Okay. You want the emotional stuff? That gets set to the side. And I'm sick and tired of it. I am just so beside myself when I saw this article. and I read it. I'm just like, no wonder Gannett's going under. I mean, it's just
they're willing to spend all that.
Yeah, how much money?
Yeah, to kind of again create this enormous sob story. This again, as you said, emotional manipulation,
suicidal empathy
to garner them, and they're doing it for awards and clicks, and we're the ones that are supposed to feel bad for this person who again broke the law.
And that is all I have.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about a topic that I talk about quite frequently, and that is the offals. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a story go from hyper-viral to forgotten as quickly as the one we're going to talk about. Now, it was everywhere from MSNBC to the New York Post. Even Crowder was talking about it on his show on Rumble. Everyone in between was talking about the Cinnabon employee from Ashwaubenon who got fired for saying the N-word or directing the N-word at a Black Somali Muslim couple, according to a TikTok user who uploaded the video. So this woman, again, apparently there's two sides to this. There's what was shown, what was recorded, and what was happening before. Apparently the Muslim couple, the Somalia couple was being difficult in some way or another.
I thought they said something about like, why are you sexualizing yourself by not wearing like clothing that was covered up more? Like, I think implying like a hijab.
Yes.
But I don't think she was wearing anything revealing or anything. She was wearing like a very modest, just kind of work outfit, essentially. I think that's kind of what started it. Or at least that was what was being said online. Again, details are slightly mixed in the information age. A lot of different reporting going on. But I think that's what initially started it.
Yep. There was, some video doesn't show how the confrontation started. But, of course, they threw on the record button after this woman had dropped the N-word, which I assume also had the hard R. She declared herself a racist and was promptly fired by Cinnabon for her actions. And again,
I don't think Cinnabon's ever had to release a press release like that before.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. The video showed the worker displaying two middle fingers at the couple and threatened to throw the water on them over the woman who was recording it. So that sets up this thing. As it turns out, the Cinnabon employee in question, not this necessarily heroic or terrible person in the traditional sense, doesn't break along that. Because I think there was initially the knee-jerk reaction was, wow, someone's finally saying what they feel about the Somali population that's been in the news so much lately for all of the fraud, for the fact that, there's genuine lack of integration between that community and the wider American community.
Lack of integration? No integration.
Okay, sure. No integration. Now,
unless the integration is we steal from the general American populace for our own ethnic benefit, but that's pretty much it.
So in this New York Post article, disgraced former worker Crystal Wisely, 43, by the way, was charged more than a dozen various offenses over the last 2 decades, appeared to have badly misused an outdated term for Black people, saying her boy just had darker skin because of a health condition. So she's claiming that she's not racist now because of her son.
Oh, geez.
So the mom from Oneida has since taken to social media to defend her actions, while a fundraiser set up by her supporters has raised $110,000 and counting. P.S. to the racism, if you look at my Facebook from 2010, she says, you'll see on there that I have a blended family and my son was, this is her word, colored.
Oh, geez.
Wisely then later appeared to go back on her claim about having a quote unquote, again, her words, colored son, by saying a health condition made his skin darker. Addison's disease, and he was discriminated by calling chocolate because he has brown skin. Explanation of racism, she wrote in one comment. Addison's disease is a rare disorder caused by an issue with the adrenal glands, which can result in a darkening of skin. Court records show that Wisely was charged with child endangerment, marijuana possession, and marijuana drug paraphernalia in February of 2022 related to an incident where she was pulled over by state troopers while driving in Erie County, Ohio, according to records. Her address at the time was Green Bay. She also left a trail of legal damage across the Midwest with a history of more than a dozen charges dating back almost 25 years. In June 2021, she was arrested for disorderly conduct, domestic abuse, sentenced to 12 months probation later that year. She's had various marijuana offenses, disorderly conduct, goes on and on. New York Post lays this all out. She's got herself a DUI as well, as most Wisconsinites may have. But I think what more importantly, and something, Shadow Gov, that you pointed out, is her Instagram proudly shows her Kamala Harris yard sign with one of those pro-choice, pro-women yard signs as well.
Yeah, the pro-abortion signs, which I'm not saying that. I don't think anyone would say that all Democrats act like that. All Cinnabon workers that work are Democrats behave like that. But I think the reason, of course, it died fairly quickly was because the left likes to jump on anyone that says the N-word and just assume that they're right wing.
And the right kind of jumped on the story because of the frustration again with the Somali community going on right now.
Yeah. And so they jumped on that. But then, of course, the left wants to jump on it saying, oh, it's just some right winger talking about, minorities badly. When you look a little bit quicker, it's just like, this seems to be just a troubled individual that's had a streaky past of run-ins with questionable decisions, and made another questionable decision as well. So tough luck for that lady. Maybe I'm not endorsing anything she said. I mean, don't, especially if you're working, like, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you throw up the 21 gun salute, with the double bird, and you might get away with it. But I mean, it's Cinnabon. I mean, I don't think you're really going to lose a whole lot by firing that person, even for just a 21 gun salute, let alone dropping, the N-word, nuclear, I'm sure. Yeah. So I don't know. The fact that she's raised $110,000 though is pretty surprising in my opinion. Was not expecting that at all. But the Democrats kind of shut that story down. We're like, okay, she's one of us. All right, so let's wrap it up.
Yep. And another story coming out of the Eau Claire area. This one was by Libs of TikTok, I think, turned us on to this one. Stephanie Farr, Eau Claire area school district board member, is calling for a Black Parent-Teacher Association. Fun fact, my understanding is her husband is Jose Felipe.
Don't even try.
Yeah. But he's the Eau Claire English department professor that attacked college Republicans on campus just a few months ago. So between them, whole lot of degrees, not a whole lot of decency. Stephanie Farr looks exactly like you'd expect an entitled white woman calling for a Black Parent-Teacher Association to look like.
I can't remember what she looks like, but does she have a bob?
I think she's got a bit of a Karen hair.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
short hair.
If you ask Grok to create an image of the soft bigotry of low expectations from a white woman, you'd find Stephanie. And of course, she's endorsed another one of the most notable awfuls in the state in Rebecca Cook for,
of course,
against EVO. But, this stuff coming out, hopefully there's some organizations like WisRed that are going to do some vetting of candidates across the state. We can point to these people who, again, call you. Could you imagine like someone from the Sussex or the Germantown school board calling for a white parent-teacher association? Well, it's unheard of.
This is the thing. And I know I'm not trying to do like, oh, the Democrats are real racist or whatever. I don't really think they're racist. I just think they're idiots. Like, it's, again, it kind of going back to my illegal, not that I'm trying to tie this into illegal immigration, although I will tie anything into illegal immigration if presented the opportunity. It's this humiliation ritual where we have to atone for the sins of the father. And so, white teachers have done so well, so we need a Black Parent-Teacher Association. Like, no, we don't. Okay,
we need a parent-teacher association.
We need just an association to help kids read well, especially if you want to talk about Black parents or Black teachers. Black students Oh my gosh, the achievement levels for Black students are like beneath the floor. You know what's a crazy statistic? You want to hear this? NPS. The English as a second language people do better than Black students. The people that English is not their primary language do better academically across the board than Black students at NPS. Okay. On top of that, there are, I think, some special ed people that do better than and achieve better than some of the Black students at Milwaukee Public Schools. Okay. That is how bad it is. Okay. So if we want to talk about doing this, Black Parent Teacher Association, how about you work on the actual student outcomes instead of this like little DEI, make everyone feel good. Like this does nothing.
Well, here's the other thing. I'm looking up these stats right now from the DPI report card. So Black or African-American students make up 2.6% of the population of that school district of over 10,000 students.
Oh, in Eau Claire.
In Eau Claire. Yeah. So like our Asians or Hispanic or Latinos, because they combine for 17.5% of the school district population. So are they going to be allowed in the Black Parent Teacher organization, or is it just specifically for this small segregated group to be? I mean, it's absurd, right? It's just virtue signaling again.
Like it's a humiliation ritual to atone for the sins of the father. Because of slavery, we need to do these things. It's like,
but it's only white, affluent white female liberals that are leading this charge.
Well, it's because white people often are the only group that have an out-group preference, where they feel obligated to have this kind of out-group, like they have to have this out-group preference because, well, for the white liberal, white people have been so privileged that we need to bring ourselves down to their level, which is like actually the soft bigotry of low expectations. Like, we need to bring us down to their level. Like what? Maybe, raise all boats, what's the saying?
All boats rise.
All boats rise. Yeah. No, what's the saying? Like waters make all boats rise. That's
rising tide lifts all boats.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jeez, Pete, that was a struggle bus. You were picking up what I was setting down. The point being is, instead of raising people up, it's bringing everyone else down, which I think is horrible, of course. And this is also just performative in nature.
Yep.
This is DEI. I know gets thrown around a ton, but it is just it's communism. I know that's very boomer of me, but like when you look at actual things that Marx, Gramsci, Lenin talked about, there is a ton of like eliminating of standards and just kind of trying to make everything all ubiquitous, all the same. There is a lot of that, or the exclusion of groups, but kind of, making everything else ubiquitous. And I just see that so much in our modern school system, and this is just obviously one symptom, but this is not the first time we've heard of school districts doing crazy stuff like this. UW does this stuff all at the beginning of every year. Gosh, I don't want to belabor the point too much, so
it's okay. So with that, folks, we're going to wish you a Merry Christmas. Hope you get a chance to watch all the Christmas movies. Give us a listen while you're driving up to Grandma's house, and
make sure to watch Scrooge.
Yes, Scrooged, Muppet Christmas Carol, Die Hard, whatever you got. Tell us what your favorite Christmas movie is. Make sure to leave us that 5-star. We're available. Drop us that like, share, subscribe, whatever you got. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and we'll be seeing you in the new year.
Merry Christmas.